Hello everyone and welcome to my latest movie review, where today I actually review a new release, which is rare during the coronavirus pandemic, but there's a new film that was released in the cinema and I went to watch it. I was the only one who went to watch it, but still, that's nothing new these days. The film is called Kajillionaire. Yes, a very strange title, but it does have meaning. So stay tuned. And the basic plot of this story is as follows, is that it centers around this family, so these two parents and their daughter, who go on these heists. And they're basically con artists, they're thieves, they're stealing money to survive. Basically, they're trying to pay the rent and they have virtually nothing. They're living in this old office, and this guy is their landlord is demanding like all of their rent. And the family are struggling to make amends, and they invite this girl called Melanie to join them in the heist, and she offers to help them, and then things become a little bit more complicated. There's a lot of emotional drama that kind of happens. The daughter, who's called Oldolio, which is a very unusual name, yes, she basically feels neglected by her parents, and Melanie takes her away and basically shows her how much her parents do not care about her. Then it's about sort of the parents trying to win her back, I suppose, and Oldolio trying to realise how much do her parents actually care about her, and will she ever find someone who shows her affection? And that's basically the story of this film. Okay, Kajillionaire. Well, I wasn't actually going to see this movie at first because I never knew anything about it until I realised my local cinema was showing it. I decided to go to the cinema yesterday because I wasn't really sure if the cinema was going to remain open, to be perfectly honest. With the delay of No Time to Die and all these other blockbusters, it just seems to be not prudent that cinemas would stay open. Although I discovered from the staff who were there, they said they're planning to stay open on weekends, which is good, but they've had to let go of a lot of staff, which is tragic. But I thought, well, if this is going to be my last cinema trip for a long time, then I better go and see something worthwhile. I didn't really fancy seeing Tenet again, as I'd already seen it twice actually, and there wasn't much choice. I didn't fancy seeing Saint Maud, to be perfectly honest. I might go and see it, potentially, I don't know. I had a look at Kajillionaire and I thought, actually, this looks kind of interesting. I might go and watch this, and I was the only one that went to see it. But I really enjoyed this movie. It was actually a really surprisingly deep movie. It's actually, in some ways, quite a sad film. It's basically about a girl crying out for her parents. That's the movie. She wants love from her parents, and it is really sad to see how much they have damaged her. They have basically, her parents are despicable people. They really are. They have used her as a tool to just you know get money and obviously make ends meet. I mean, I do think they care about her, but they just don't know how to show her affection because they're so caught up in their ways of thieving and not trusting anyone. They're just telling her what to do. They're controlling her. They're just using her as a pawn, basically. That's P-A-W-N. I have to specify that. And I really feel sorry for the character of Oldolio. I mean, the daughter, who's actually played by Evan Rachel Wood, which is surprising because she looks so young. When she sneaks into the parent classes and she sees a video about when a baby is born, how it sort of like leans on the mother's abdomen and all that. And she doesn't know she's had that, and she hasn't, and she wants her parents to show her some love and affection, although they do it by trying to buy her love. Or well, I say buy, they steal. That's all they do. They steal loads of things to try and win her affection and give her loads of presents and everything to prove they love her. But it's all a pack of lies. She doesn't really believe it. She doesn't know what to believe. She's a very damaged character. There's a scene where I guess she basically has a bit of a mental breakdown. I'm not kind of sure what the scene is about, to tell you the absolute truth. We see her and Melanie go into this toilet cubicle, and they close the door. It's pitch black, and then we just see the stars, and she's talking about something, and I guess she's having some kind of an epiphany or something. I'm not entirely sure what it's meant to mean, but that was kind of an interesting scene, how her mood afterwards kind of changed, and she's not used to buying things, or she's not used to the real world. She's been starved of affection. I think she's mentally quite scarred, and I think her parents have essentially been mentally abusing her. That's what they've done. Without realizing it, they have done that. They can't even call her hun. There's a scene where she holds up a check that she's collecting. She's like, you can have this if you call me hun. And her mother cannot bring herself to do it. It's so sad, it really is, because there are parents out there who are like this, who don't, for whatever reason, who don't care for their children, who don't bond with their children. The father as well, he is an absolute arsehole. I think their names are Teresa and Robert. He's a real control freak as well. He just bosses everybody around. He bullies his daughter, well, into doing illegal stuff just so they can make ends meet. I'm sure, I mean, their intentions are noble, of course. They just want to survive. They want to live well, but they start to become very corrupt. They start to, deceive Melanie as well. This girl who, to be fair, Melanie isn't all good either. Oldolio comes up with a plan to get the money because they have like 2 days to get it, and she says, if we fly to New York, cash a check for misplaced luggage, then we could be able to claim that before time runs out. But they have like a few days to do it, so they risk everything to do that, and they meet Melanie on the plane. But then she chooses to help them, and then it becomes a bit of a confusion for her. The thing that I don't understand is Melanie's intentions. That's the only thing that confuses me. I mean, at first we don't really know what's going on, and they start treating Melanie like presumably like a daughter. And Oldolio gets kind of jealous that they start being affectionate to her. And then Melanie realizes that they're out to dupe her because they try and seduce her, which is a bit crazy. So it really just goes to show how corrupt these parents are. They really are terrible. But Melanie doesn't really trust them. Well, the point I'm trying to make is that these people, all of these characters, do things that may not necessarily be moral, but they do them for the right reasons. They're trying to survive. Literally, that's all it is. This family are trying to survive, but within the family, it's just so corrupt. There's no emotionality there. And that is what's really clever about this story. The whole point of the story is that it's about worth, and Oldolio feels she is worthless. She feels worthless because her parents don't show her any affection, and then Melanie takes her away and becomes affectionate towards her, and Oldolio doesn't know what to think, and Melanie, at first treats it like a transaction. She says, fine, you can give me my money when we've done all the things you want to do, like make pancakes, and I call you Han, and then we do all this. So she really wants to give her the love that she deserves, and then they do end up forming a romance. The ending I really like as well, when, spoiler alert, they go into the store, and she returns the items that her parents bought her, which is her way of basically disowning her parents. She lets them go, and she realizes that they don't love her and they don't care about her. They just used her and abused her, and she has Melanie now. Like, Melanie loves her and will care for her. So it's a really sweet story. The parents actually invite her out to dinner, and they try and they put on this fast to say that they do love her and they do care about her and that they're really sorry, and Oldolio doesn't really want to believe them. She's not really convinced by their act, and neither is Melanie, to be honest. But they realise that, the money hasn't been stolen during the evening, because there's money that they've hidden away. And then the next morning, all of Melanie's stuff is gone, which is awful. And they both laugh, because, again, more for the shock than anything else. I really liked the narrative. I just thought that the drama with these characters was really interesting, and how corrupt these people are, all of them. Even Oldolio to a lesser extent, because she's the victim really in all this, but she has done bad things because of the influence of her parents, and she feels like she doesn't want to cut them out because they are her parents. But then Melanie says, well, they mistreated you. They never did what you wanted them to do. And Melanie herself, she's also a bit of a thief as well, so she kind of, again, she joins them, but I think it becomes a realization with her, she is a good person, and she can no longer work with these people because she sees how corrupt the family is, and she says, I'll call you hun, I'll take you away from these people. So I really thought emotionally that the film worked on a number of levels for me, and the scene where Oldolio was going to those parent classes were really interesting, and you just had to look at her face to see, yeah, she hasn't bonded with her mother, and and she just wanted that love. She just wanted to be loved, but her parents have become so corrupt. They just, I mean, they're doing what they're doing to survive, which you know, it doesn't completely make them bad, but at the same time, they have no affection for their daughter, which is the worst thing ever. I mean, they probably do love her deep down, but they just can't express it because they're so caught up in their ways. They've got into their routines of stealing and thieving, and there's a moment where they also go into an old guy's house where he's on his deathbed, and they're basically waiting for him to die, which is cruel, which is incredibly cruel, and it's kind of shocking, really, to see how the lengths that these parents go to survive. They will even steal from the people who are on their deathbeds. Like, the dad will go into people's houses and take checkbooks and write checks and then cash them, and it's really corrupt and it's really, really deceitful, but it makes the film that much more interesting. At the end of the day, I couldn't fully hate them because at the same time, they were just trying to survive, so I can understand why they were doing it. But at the same time, as the story progressed, you could begin to see the cracks in the family, basically. Again, Aldolio is the victim here. She's been brainwashed by her parents. It's abuse. It's abusive, and it's horrible what they've done to her. That's the point of why they called the film Kajillionaire. And again, I was a bit confused when I first saw the film as to why they titled it that, but looking at it now, it makes sense, because the tagline of the film is Know Your Worth, and that's basically, the title is meant to resemble how much a child is worth, or anyone is worth, really. And, you know, Melanie shows her how much she is worth and how her parents have exploited her. So, you know, you may not understand why the film is called that. At first glance, it may seem a little bit outrageous that they've called it Kajillionaire, but I understand it. I get why they've done it like that. It's a very well-directed film by Miranda, a female director. She wrote the movie as well. So I think she did a very good job at writing these characters. And it's mainly the four of them, the four central characters, but there are some other smaller characters that do appear. There's the landlord, whose name I don't actually know. And there's obviously a few extras here and there. There's this woman who is like a masseuse, who tries to massage Aldolio, but Aldolio's back is really tense, and she's only lightly sort of caressing it, and it's doing some work. And then we find out she's actually a waitress as well later on, which I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they had the same character appear there. It doesn't really make much of an impact to me, but I certainly really enjoyed this film for the emotional elements and the story. It's quite an artistic film, and it's actually quite sad when you think about it. The only thing I will say about this film is that I think the character of Melanie, to begin with, is written to be a bit weird. Like, they seem to write her in a way that adds a lot of mystery to her, which is weird. But then, as the story goes on, when she realizes the parents are so corrupt, she's revealed to be not so bad. But to begin with, I couldn't really work her out. I was like, is she trying to deceive these people? I mean, they're clearly trying to deceive her. Like, what are her intentions? It didn't make a lot of sense, but it's only a minor criticism. And also, the thing with Melanie is, as well, like, she's talking to her mum on the video call at various points. That didn't seem to go anywhere. That did not seem to relate to anything that was happening in the film, so I don't know why they included those scenes, to be perfectly honest. I think the music is also very good for this film. I like the soundtrack. It's very sort of soft, somber, and in a way quite sad. Like I said, it's an emotional film, and it's kind of depressing in places, but I suppose in a good way. I know that might sound a bit contradictory, but you'll understand if you see it. So at the end of the day, I'm going to finish up, and I'm going to give this movie I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I was very impressed with him, and it's a shame there's not going to be more people going to watch it, but understandably the COVID pandemic is affecting things for everybody. But anyway, thanks very much for watching this review. Stay tuned for more reviews in the future, and until next time, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See you soon. Bye for now.